What's up, you guys? Chet Guthrie, the Dream Poet here, coming to you all from the busy, bustling streets of Chattanooga. About 30 minutes from my hometown of Cleveland. And today, guys, we are going to see a room that is very infamous. Yes, you see, here in Chattanooga, even in the state of Tennessee, we have our very own The Shining Room. Yes, this building behind me here, there is a hotel room that is extremely haunted. But before we see this room today, you guys, we're gonna talk about the history of this beautiful building behind us. That is the Reed House. So anchor down. Alrighty, guys, through these very doors is the Reed House. Now, the Reed House history goes as far back as 1847. It's very echoey in here. But in 1847, this building will be known as the Crutchfield House. By the way, just check out that beauty. If you look at this here, that is an old mail system. And you can get your shoes shined right here. But the history behind this beautiful, magnificent hotel will go even further. You see, during the Civil War, this hotel will be occupied by Union soldiers. And in 1867, this building will be burned. Now, sometime in the early 1900s, this building will even be a part, or I should say, a hospital for those who had the Spanish flu. But even with all this history attached to this building, there is one room that is the most infamous room here on the premises. But again, before we go up there, I just wanted to show you all the beauty that is the Reed House lobby. Just look at that beautiful chandelier. This is an absolutely incredible work of art. Just check this out. That is an old school cash register. Amount purchased. It honestly makes you wonder how many fingers, how many hands have touched that cash register. Or just check this out. They still have the original telephone booths. Oh my goodness, just check that out. From here, you can make an old school phone call. Operator, can you get me so and so on the line? Hey, is your refrigerator running? Well, you better go catch it. All right, you guys, after having some fun there, we're gonna go up to 311, and I will tell you all the story about Luisa Netherly and her very tragic murder. This is the 3rd floor. This is where room 311 is. And real quick, I want to show you something. As you all see here, all these rooms have a card key to it. By the way, this is Matt. He gives tours of room 311. And as you all can see, this room is the only room in the building that still has the original key. So we're gonna go inside now. And as you all can see, stepping into this room is like taking a step back in time. A time to an era, to the days of the Civil War, to the days of Prohibition and the Great Depression. And real quick, I want to show you these windows. As you all can see, these windows are barred. As you all can see, they have gates on them. And there is a good reason for that. You see, in the days of the 1920s, right next to this room was the train station. You see, people who knew they could avoid paying room and board, all they would have to do is jump out that window, run to the railroad tracks, and they would never have to pay anything. But we go a little bit further in time to when a very well-known gangster was taken to this room. And that is none other than Al Capone, Scarface himself. And when he was brought through here for tax evasion in the 1920s, he did not want to stay in the basement. He did not want to stay in a concreted room. No, he wanted an actual room. So, with this room being the only room with bars on it, by the way, Matt here can tell you all about it. And as you were saying, fire marshals did not like...
Fire code came along saying, you know, hey, you can't have these bars up here because if anything happens, people can't get out. So they had taken them down, but somehow these got left up. And we're still here when Capone was being brought through from Chicago to Atlanta.
But you guys, I think it was served best when Al Capone was taken to this room. Because in this room behind me, in the bathtub, Luisa Netherly was beheaded. You see, this story begins in 1927. When a newly married couple, Luisa Netherly and her husband, were down here in Chattanooga to really get a business feel. You see, her husband, he was doing his job, and they stayed here at the Reed House. Now, initially, they're only going to stay here for a week. But something happens. 1 week becomes 2 weeks. 2 weeks becomes 3. And pretty soon, the two have been pretty much living here. And now her husband, he pretty much at that point, anything that could go wrong in his business dealings would. So Annalisa, she starts getting concerned, and she actually meets somebody down at the bar. Now, with this being a place where businessmen would get together, many of them would come and go. This would give Miss Annalisa a little bit of extra money. You see, businessmen would come into town, and then they would go, and they would give her a little bit of money. Now another suitor would come in, and she would be paid. And this would happen. She would come down, go back to the room, come down, go back to the room, until finally her husband bumped elbows with another businessman. And he told her that he had been sleeping with this man's wife. Well, a very furious husband, he runs into the door, busts the door down over there. By the way, that is the original door. He runs over here, he pulls the man out of bed, and he begins to beat the tar out of him right outside that room. And, well, for Miss Annalisa, he drags his wife into the bathroom in this exact tub, and he takes his razor and he begins slashing at her throat until finally Annalisa is no longer breathing. You guys, this is the exact tub where Annalisa Netherly breathed her last breath. But not long after this murder had taken place, with Chattanooga being as small a town as it was, many politicians and many businessmen, let's say, they did a few dealings. Well, Annalisa's husband, he threw a little bit of money each politician's way and each law enforcement's way, and all of this was pushed under the rug. But not long after that, people would check into room 311, and as soon as they would check in, 5, sometimes 7 hours later, the people down at the desk below, they would see these people running out of the building, dropping the key and saying, "I'm done." Well, this would go on for quite some time. Now, it eventually comes to the point where this room gets so much trouble to it that they just close it up. They take it out of circulation and they really don't do anything with it. However, as time passes, more and more people are curious to know, is room 311 really haunted? Well, people start coming in, people start checking in, and the hotel, they begin to realize that people are fairly interested in this room. Now, the room was made available upon request, present day. It is available during the Halloween season, or the season leading up to Halloween. We might do that in a future vlog, by the way. But as time passes, well, room 311 begins to fall to the wayside. Time goes by, but then in the 2000s, this room will be brought into renovation. And while this room, this door, is the original, the previous door that led to the outside, somehow, in some way, it had barred itself shut. Now, the men that were renovating this room, they tried to get in, they tried to push through, they were pushing their way, but they could not get that door open. And eventually it led to them having to use a chainsaw to get in. And when they came through, they heard that the water in this bathtub was absolutely just pouring out. They didn't know where it was coming from, they didn't know anything about it, but it was just pouring water. And mind you, this room had been closed for quite a few years. Yes, this room is still very much haunted. Things still go on. In fact, Matt, the guide, was telling me about how one night a couple stayed here. As they were sleeping, the wife wakes up in the middle of the night to see the visage, the silhouette of a woman standing by their bedside right here. As for her husband, in the middle of the night, he wakes up to find a mysterious woman standing at the edge of his bed, looking right back at him. Now, you guys, since we're here, we are going to test the theory. Is room 311 really haunted? Now, I've kind of gotten out of ghost hunting for a while. As y'all have kept up with my channel in the past, I just don't do it because stuff would happen. But is there anyone here with us right now? Annalisa, if you're here with us right now, would you care bringing this light into the orange? Like I said, we're not here to do you any harm. We're honestly just a little bit curious. I imagine you do see quite a few people come here all the time, but... I don't want to use too much of your energy. Would you care bring it into the yellow? If there's anyone here with us. Anyone? I said, you don't have to be scared of us. I know you've seen quite a few people, and probably a few people kind of made you a little bit angry. I can understand why. You'd probably scratch some people. Is that you, Miss Annalisa? If that's you, would you care bringing it into the yellow? Okay then. Thank you, ma'am. Well, I'm going to leave you alone now, and thank you very much. You have a good day. Goodbye. Oh my goodness, you guys. That was awesome. So, I do believe the room is haunted. One of the things that Matt was telling me about is when they had an old school radio from the 1920s. Now, they placed it in the room, but the people that would stay in this room, no matter what they did, no matter if they tried setting it to pop, rock, classic rock, anything like that, it would always go to 1920s jazz music. At one point, it would just play static too. But another thing is, they do have a phone in that room. And that phone, that wasn't even connected to the wall, somehow, in some way, it would just set itself off. It would start going off, people would pick up the phone, and there'd be static. But today, you guys, that was my vlog. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Remember, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Always means a lot. Goes to show that y'all care and that y'all want to see more. Remember, I love y'all very much. Vlog over.